In this video, we're going to talk about how Kenya is quickly becoming a mafia state. So the president of Kenya is now ruling with an iron fist. So in Kenya, the democracy we have is just on paper. The democracy ends after the president is elected. So the president in Kenya is doing a lot of atrocious things like corruption, abductions. Nothing is going to plan. And so there's been a lot of protests in Kenya. Many young people are demanding for better leadership. The leadership is still not catching up to the way Kenyans are thinking right now. Because the old people were used to government doing atrocious things, but they never used to care. They used to think that the government doesn't affect them. But the young people now, the age of internet, they are deserving better. They're demanding better. They're going on the streets demanding for better leadership. And this has happened throughout last year. Young Kenyans have really woken up and they're demanding for good leadership. So the president has been forced on his knees and he has lost favor with the normal Kenyan people. So he's continuing his mafia regime. Now he has went to look for opposition leaders to join his cabinet because he thinks the opposition people will bring support to him. So most of these leaders are being recycled, like Oparanya. All these people have been in government all this time. I think the president, what he should have done, he should have brought competent people to fill these dockets, these sensitive dockets that affect normal people. So he went ahead and looked for the opposition leader, and the opposition leader, Raila Amolo Odinga, gave him names of people that are his proxies now, and they were appointed. They were appointed. He went ahead and also looked for the former president, and the former president gave him also his proxies, and now they're being vetted to become the cabinet. I think the vetting process is just for formality. There's no democracy in Kenya. The democracy ends at the ballot box once the president has been sworn in. Then they throw away the constitution. They look for the constitution again a few months before election just to ask for votes. And then after that, the cycle repeats itself. So they just started vetting these people, and I think they're all going to be confirmed. And Kenya is just going in a really, really, really bad direction. So those ones, they will just be appointed. And now, after the protests, also, there have been a lot of abductions in Kenya. The young people have been abducted. Some of them were released after 15 days. They did not spend Christmas with their family. And they were just released a few days ago after being abducted for more than 15 days. And apparently, they're not even talking. They're not saying what they went through, Maybe government has threatened them. Who knows what they've been told. So that's the situation in Kenya. And now that the government is really good at abductions, they are now offering services internationally. Like the opposition leader of Uganda was in Kenya, and he was kidnapped, broad daylight. The next time we heard from him was from a prison in Uganda, military jail, to be precise.
President Ruto has decided to be a conduit to the abuse of human rights of Ugandans.
The people of Kenya and the people of East Africa are in trouble because Kenya government, that rock government, has surrendered its security to Uganda. And so Kenya is going to pay the price, like Ugandans will pay the price, and all people who go to Kenya as tourists.
The Attorney General and Minister for Internal Affairs were supposed to come and brief Parliament whether Kenya has become a terrorist state training terrorists. Because I don't understand. It's a question I cannot answer until government has told us or Kenya has spoken. That's why we are going to the Kenyan embassy to seek for an answer. So,
but they had any doubt that we are not safe as Ugandans in Kenya, that President Ruto is working from 7. If anybody had any doubt, now we know that.
So, we will be here just for mention. We are very happy that we have seen him alive. Because We thought he would be a Khashoggi, put in a tin of acid. We thought he would be Benedict Chiwanuka. We have so many permutations in our brains, wondering what it will be like.
So Kenyans politicians are really mafia, because how would they do such a thing, you know? How people cannot even come to seek asylum in Kenya because the president is operating like a mafia leader, you know. There's no rule of law. They don't follow constitution. Abductions is not something that is accepted in a democracy. Also, there's this activist or a journalist from Tanzania who's been very critical to the Tanzanian government.
I think I answered your question on the asylum and how many people there were. 4. So 3 were the ones who got out of the car and were always moving around. There was the driver. At the last time we stopped before they released me, the driver also got out. And I was left only with the person on my right who was holding me and choking me most of the time. And he kept holding me all the time. So he never got out of the car. He was the one, I think, who was assigned to basically keep me there. And the driver, when he got out, that was the longest time they were gone. And I believe they were doing some consultations. The passenger in front is the one who I suspect, because was speaking to me in Swahili and my name and always wanted to get my reaction. I suspect he's the one who was actually giving or taking instructions. And sometimes I could hear and I could feel movement, so I think they were doing sign language or something over my head, so I wouldn't understand. But those were more like maybe saying, let's go or watch or something. But if they needed to do any bigger thing, they would leave. Yeah.
I think you can take last.
She was also abducted in Kenya. So Kenya is really going to the dogs. Our leaders, we are being ruled by few elites who plunder the country and they disregard the rule of law. And I don't know which direction is going. We really need a change. I think the only thing that's going to bring change is a revolution. That's the only thing that I think is going to bring change, because bad governance is really, really creeping in Kenya. And there seems to be no end to this.